Mr. Mathew Knowles, the founder of Music World Entertainment. You have executive produced over 100 platinum albums, manager of The Great Destiny's Child, author, board member of the Grammys. We're thrilled to be with you today. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great here in Southern California today. This week has been a travel week for me. So I've been to Nashville, Tennessee, I've been to Los Angeles, and now here in Southern California, Laguna area. So looking forward to just having a conversation with you, Sasha, and hopefully sharing the goods and the bads.
But Mr. Knowles, we want to start here. You're here with us today. Thank you for sharing your time with us. And at the same time, it does kind of feel like you live in kind of a different world than Nico and I. Just tell us about your day. What is it? What is a day in the life like?
You know, a day in a life is, I have in Houston, we live a majority of the time. We also live here in the Southern California, but the time zone gets a little difficult. I typically find myself now getting up at 6:30 in the morning. And I kind of go through this meditation and I go through what my day is going to be like. A beautiful view outside the window, the ocean and the mountains. And it really helps me to get a solid foundation for my day. I get a cup of tea, 2 or 3 cups every morning, and read emails. Sometimes I just look out the window, Sasha, and I just think creatively of different projects and ideas. My wife is my best friend, so she gets up at around 8:39, and I go in and we just have a conversation and watch news, catch up on the day, and go through Tuesdays and Thursdays are my days that I do interviews and phone calls. Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays, those are my days, and the weekends. So I'm at that point in my life now that I work very hard also, Sasha, on happiness.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
After you've gotten all of these awards and helped your artists and your family be the very best at it, and I still teach. That's the reason why I teach, is actually a give back. But it's time now that I really spend time on myself, self-help, self-love, and happiness. And so I work on that because it requires work. It requires work if you're going to do it the right way.
Absolutely. Mr. Knowles, thanks again for being with us today. So the world thinks about you as Mathew Knowles, the dad. We wanted to ask about Mathew Knowles, the son. So what kind of family do you come from?
That's very interesting and a timely question. I'm working on a research project with the University of Washington. And just yesterday, I got this 20-page document that goes all the way back to 1730 and my family tree. And so I didn't know a lot about my grandparents, as a kid, and I left my hometown, Gaston, Alabama. I left when I went to college and never turned back and looked back. So I didn't know a lot about my grandparents or my uncles and and it was very, very detailed. I didn't know that my grandfather at 34 enlisted in the Army because my dad, who was 18, and his brother, who was 20, and another brother enlisted. What love! A dad enlisted because his 3 sons enlisted. I didn't know that one of my uncles, I knew he was in the Navy, and I knew he was in a high rank, but I didn't know until yesterday that this man was the person who recovered the spaceship with John Glenn in it. That was my uncle.
Wow.
So he was working at NASA?
No, he was working with the Navy.
Wow. Oh, so there's a lot of military in your family, and you and basically.
I
Yeah.
didn't notice. I didn't notice
Wow.
until yesterday, and I'm
Oh
still
my
digging
gosh.
in. I didn't know any of this stuff. And I had an opportunity to share it yesterday with Beyonce, and we were just sitting there almost in tears because we didn't know all that stuff about our family.
You left your job in 92?
Well, that's what that I call it, the Jedi mind trick, Sasha.
Okay.
That's what the media would have you believe. The media would have you believe that I left my job at Xerox so that I could go and manage Beyonce's career.
That's what we read. That's exactly what I'm
So
asking about.
I started
Yes, sir.
Xerox in 1978, and I
Okay.
left Xerox in 1988. For 8 of those years, I was in the medical division of Xerox, selling zero radiography, which was the gold standard then for breast cancer. And from 88 to 92, I was with Philips Medical Systems. Then did a great job with Philips, and then I went to Johnson and Johnson to be a neurosurgical specialist. So that would take us up until about 1994, 95 that I was in corporate America. My first artist that I got a record deal actually is an artist named Lil O.
Okay.
And I got him a record deal with MCA Records. His first single, which is named Can't Stop, features Destiny. Destiny's Child first name was Destiny, and then we got a cease and desist because there was a gospel group in Mississippi, girl group named Destiny. So I changed the name to Destiny's Child.
Mr. Knowles, we all think about Beyonce as a saintly figure. Can you tell us about a time that Beyonce misbehaved when she was a kid?
There's not many.
We didn't think so, which is why we wanted to see if we could get one from you.
Yeah, she just wasn't that type of kid. Now, if you said Solange, that would be different.
Tell us about the time Solange misbehaved.
Well, Solange just always would challenge you.
Yeah.
Whatever you asked her to do, she would challenge you. Why am I doing this? She was just that curiosity kid that would challenge you. Beyonce was so engulfed in creativity that she was just engulfed with it, that she just was focused always on music and creativity. And she was just that kid that was quiet, extremely quiet and shy, and just behaved.
We have a commitment at our website to try and explore the crossover with the topics we cover. Are you a fan of basketball? Do you not really like basketball?
Well, you didn't do your research.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
3 high school championships, 47 scholarships, ended up going to the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga, transferred to Fisk University in Nashville, won 2 championships there. 3 weeks ago, as one of the owners of Chicago Sky, WNBA, just won our first championship. I know a little bit about basketball.
What was it like celebrating with the Sky?
I did not celebrate with them.
Okay.
I have not had that opportunity to celebrate with them, but I'm sure I will during a ring ceremony. And not just me, Michelle Williams of Destiny's Child. We were there with Michael Alter, who is the primary owner, majority owner. We were there from day one as owners. So we've supported, gone through a lot of changes and ups and downs, but sometimes that's required to become better. Failure is an opportunity to grow, not a reason to quit. And so we got a championship with some great players.
Yeah, amazing season. Congratulations.
You must have never looked at the social media that I put up twice with me playing Kobe Bryant one-on-one.
Oh my God, no, I didn't see that. We got to post that. That's amazing. What was Kobe like?
Amazing young man. Highly competitive. We started out, he was at a video shoot. Bugaboo was a single with Destiny's Child.
I love that song.
And he was friends of the ladies, they're the same age. And so they were just hanging out between setups. And I said, hey, Kobe, let's play some ball. And he's competitive. And at first we were having fun, but he didn't know I could play.
Yeah.
And then quickly that just having fun changed to being highly competitive. You see when you look at the footage.
Wait, did you get some points on him? How do you?
Sasha, I can play.
I know. Yeah.
Yes, I did.
Did you get a win?
No, I didn't get a win. But hey, I could play. I was competitive.
This reminds me of He Got Game. You were Denzel, shocking him.
Well, the difference was he was in his basketball gear and I was in regular shoes and jeans. And I was competitive. You'll see.
We'd love you to share your assessment of the landscape for folks of color, women, LGBTQ folks in terms of opportunity and representation in the record industry in executive and decision maker roles.
We are finally at a point in America where I think a lot of people and a lot of white people, I keep it real, I don't sugarcoat this, a lot of white people are finally understanding that racism does exist. We have enough footage of Black men and women being killed in front of our eyes that I think we now understand that racism exists. And I think there's a lot of good white people that want to do the right thing. And I think we're seeing a change in that. And that racism is not just of color. It's also of the LGBTQ community and the Hispanic community and the Asian American community. The key is that all of us, when we see racism, that we speak out quicker, sooner, faster. And we have the social courage to do that and not turn our heads. So when we look at the music industry, I'm 30 years in it. We had the Black division, then they call it the urban division, and then you had the pop division and the rock division. And those were very segregated. The budgets for the marketing budgets were totally different. And I know this for a fact because I've had multiple white artists that I managed and had on my record label. The budgets are much higher versus rap artists or R&B artists' budget. Their recording budget, their marketing budget, the advance that they get are much different. And then you see things that are sad, like the Country Music Awards. And when Beyoncé went on there and she had the Dixie Chicks support her, and the sadness and anger, I still get angry because the Country Music Awards have never done the right thing, and that's apologize to Beyoncé for the just ridiculous racist behavior that happened that night. And so we see things like that, and people don't say anything. They allow, and I understand that the Dixie Chicks came back and had another performance, had a Black woman perform, and they the same type of behavior towards the Dixie Chicks. We can't have that today. And so on your show, I'm calling out the Country Music Awards, and I will continue to call them out.
I think that's very fair. And I've heard a lot of criticisms about award shows, specifically, and kind of the stratification that's happened at these levels. I'm curious if you could speak to challenges specifically for Black men within this industry, within this world.
It goes back to slavery. All of this, Nicholas, goes back to slavery. I mean, just the thought that today somebody came into your apartment, tied you up, chained you, put you on a ship with thousands of other people that you couldn't communicate with in terrible conditions, deplorable conditions. And you traveled for a couple of years and got to a country where they every day beat you, spit on you, made you work 14, 15 hours a day. Just imagine the people that were in power just constantly had this anger towards you. That was only 100 some years ago. Are we surprised that white men still have this type of behavior? It's going to take a while. We're just third, fourth generations from slavery. That was a deplorable, terrible thing that white men did and should be held accountable and should apologize profusely. And there's still people, unfortunately, that feel that way about Black men. I don't, we have to talk about it more and stop sugarcoating it and let's hear other people's perspectives. And I admire that you're bringing this topic up. I admire that about both of you. Thank you.
Thank you for that deeply profound answer, for those words. And I will say, as a white person, I do apologize for the atrocities of the people of my skin tone.
Thank you.
Specifically, Mr. Knowles, we wanted to ask you about the legacy of Black Swan Records and just your thoughts on Black-owned labels.
It's not many of them today. There's a lot of independent Black-owned labels, only because it's so much easier today to own your own record label and to get some distribution that 20 years ago was set aside for major record labels or major distribution. It's easier with streaming now to do that. The challenge is not having the access to capital, as we do in any business. As Black men and women and brown has always had the challenge of getting access to capital. And in order to be an entrepreneur and to be successful, be it record label, hair salon, clothing line, you need money. And it's difficult. And until we change the process, it's going to continue to be difficult until we have more Black banks and we have more access to capital. There's one thing about winning awards, and there's another thing about being profitable. And profitability is what record labels look at, not awards. And fan engagement certainly helps bring profitability, but often fans don't understand that because this person received this award doesn't mean that they're profitable. And that's why you see so much turnover. There's a lot of these artists, unfortunately, for many reasons. The first one normally starts with their management and the team that they have surrounding them and the inexperience and lack of knowledge that they have. That's why we see so much failure. I'll give you an example. In most major record labels, they put out 30 to 40,000 albums a year in most major record labels. And that's changed with COVID, but on the average, only 1% make a profit. That's 300 or 400. And when you really think about it, you don't really hear 300 or 400, if that, different artists. Now we're talking all genres, but if you look at a specific genre, now we got to take that 300 and we got to divide it by, 5 genres that are pretty significant. So there's not a lot of success in this industry. And that's why people that want to be in it, you have to get in it and you have to be 100% committed. And that starts with, is this a passion for you or is this a hobby for you? These folks that are great in basketball, we'll go back to basketball and we'll talk about one of the best three-point shooters in the world at Golden State. This young man is, after practice, he shoots 1,000 three-point shots. Curry, Stephen Curry. 1,000 after practice. And people that I know, like Venus and Serena, and I got to know Michael Jordan, and here's a guy that didn't make his junior varsity team. these folks had to put in the work to be great. And that's what I see a lot of people don't understand is what's required to be great. It starts with living your passion, because when you live your passion, you never work a day in your life.
The great people that you just mentioned, I'm wondering, do you feel like they're wired differently? Did you see something different in them that allowed them to achieve the heights they did?
I've seen all over. I've seen them come from poor neighborhoods. I've seen them come from uneducated parents, educated parents. I've seen them come from all walks of life, all cultures and races. It's just someone mentored them at an early age. Someone. That's the consistency that I see. That they had mentorship. That's why mentorship is so important. Curry had his dad. His dad was a basketball player. You know, Beyonce had her mom and dad. Her mom was a singer. I'm a businessman. You know, one of my projects is the emancipation of slaves through music, and how the music coming from Africa, going up the diaspora, and touching those Latin countries, and how the music and African music and getting to America, where the Puritans had this very stark, dark organ and harmony, singing, no drums, no horns, and how these slaves were prohibited to have drums because the slave masters thought that they had sounds in them and communicating, and they were probably right. But how sorrow songs they call them, because the slaves had to have something to get them through getting beat all day, getting raped all day, no food hardly. And so they had these sorrow songs that became gospel. This one gospel singer, Sister Rosetta Thorpe, came with a different sound that became rock and roll, who is the originator of rock and roll. You probably have never heard of Sister Rosetta Thorpe, or know that the Grand Ole Opry's first performances was a previous Black man that was a slave, and that the banjo was really called the canteen, which a canteen was the instrument that looked just like a banjo that they had years before they came to America. Black music has gotten jacked and jacked and jacked all throughout music history. And it's about time people understand that.
I'm really interested in that. You know, 5 major conglomerates control like 85% of recording production and distribution. And there are none of those that are Black owned. And even the Black owned labels, they rely on the big 5 for distribution. So what does that say about Black capitalism and its ability to realistically address inequity in this country?
Well, as you know, well said, because without the distribution, there's no sales. I mean, that's basically the role of distribution, is to put it in front of the consumer so they can buy it. And if you can have all the creative and the best artists, but you can't get it in a place to buy it, that's a problem. What it says to us is that we have a lot of work to do in America.
Mr. Knowles, thank you so much for your time. Before we let you go, we want to get you on the record. What is your #1 favorite Destiny's Child song?
The one I wrote.
I'm so sorry. I don't know what that is. But I'll look it up. I'll find out.
No. Actually, I co-wrote Survivor.
Oh, no, did you?
Yes.
Oh, my God. Wow.
And so that song is my favorite song because 3 years ago, I became a cancer survivor myself. And so it has a different meaning for me today, that I can survive, I can make it, and I'm not going to stop. And if you listen to the lyrics, that's what it's saying, is that we're survivors. Working with Destiny's Child, and Beyoncé is a genius at this stuff. Solange is incredible. She wrote a lot of Destiny's Child songs too. Just very grateful to come from a family, to work with amazing artists in my career.
A moment ago, you spoke about gratitude and the gratitude to your family and the people you've had the opportunity to work with. We want to share our gratitude to you. Thank you for
Well,
your time.
Well, I appreciate it. You guys have done a great job. I feel you're being sincere. I
We
feel
are.
that. I feel that. I want to let you know that it comes across that you're sincere and that you're good people. Continue your work. Don't let people tell you what you can't do, because you can dream. And when you do, please, young man, dream big. So I'm going to be
Try.
looking at you guys. I don't want, no, Sasha, we don't try, we do.
Yes, sir.
I'm ready, Daddy. Come on. Come on, Daddy. Don't take you out. But take, you can't